Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am doing my April wrap up. So actually I am starting off this wrap up with a book from March because I filmed my wrap up before going to Japan and intended to wrap up the last few books I read in March in this wrap up or in its own. I only read one more book in March and this one I finished on the plane to Japan, and this book was King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. King of Scars is the first book in the Nikolai duology, continuing the Grisha Wars by Leigh Bardugo. I do, by the way, not recommend reading this before you have read the other Grisha work books because, well, it spoils all the other books. I don't think you have the same history with the characters and the world if you're not previously known to the other works. Of course, you can try to read it, but I wouldn't recommend it because you don't have the same attachment to the story if you start on this one. I am of course not going to spoil it, but it continues Nikolai's journey after the events of the other books in the series. I didn't exactly know what I expected from this because we have the Shadow and Bone trilogy and we have the Six of Crows trilogy, and they are so different works. It feels like it was written by two completely different authors. There's such tone difference in the two different stories, so I didn't really know which kind of story we were getting in this one. I'm not exactly going to say I was disappointed because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't have any expectations, but I did enjoy the story a lot. I love the world and the characters that we are with in this one a lot as well, so that made the story really enjoyable. There were just some parts that for me were really weird because they felt so off. I don't know how to explain it without spoiling the story, but it was just, we came to this point in the story where things were revealed that has never been revealed or talked about before in the story, I guess. This is gonna change the course of the story a lot going forward, I believe. Like, this is a new step in the whole world, and that is all fine, but how it was revealed, how we encountered this, just felt so out of this world. I felt like we really turned the tables. Like, I don't know why I felt like that. I was just like, wait, what? Like, it makes sense when I think about it, but in the moment it just felt really unknown and odd for me. But like, that doesn't mean I didn't like the story, and as I said, I got used to it and like it didn't make sense after a while, but it just felt really strange in the beginning because it just felt like something completely else in a completely different story-ish, but not really. I hope you know what I mean if you read the book. I gave the book 4 out of 5 stars, so I did quite enjoy it, and I'm really excited to read the next book in the series and generally just go through the journey throughout this whole world because I will read anything from it. I love how it expands. Leigh Bardugo herself has said she has a long-term plan for the Grisha Wars, and I'm really excited to see everything she has planned in it. Also, Nina is there. She has a point of view in the story, and I love Nina so much. I just felt her story was just so, I don't know how well it fitted in the book because it was like supposed to be Nikolai's book, and then we had Nina's perspective, and she's like so far away from the others. Her story is not even crossing over with the others. Maybe it will in the next book, but it's like she has like her own book in Nikolai's book, and that also felt like if she could have just had her own book, because she's just doing her own thing anyway. So yeah, like, I love her to death, and I thought that her parts were super interesting. The thinking overall in the book, did this story fit in here? I'm not sure yet, but we'll see in the sequel. So when I arrived in Japan, I sort of came into a tiny bit of a reading slump, I guess, because I didn't feel like picking up a book at all. I just binge watched BTS videos on my iPad, but I did force myself to read / listen to audiobook every single day so I wouldn't lose my reading streak, and so I knew I read something and made progress in something because I feel really shitty when I don't read. I just realized that you can see shit in that mirror there, but you can only see my jacket, but it was still like, oh, great work Sandra with the background today. I listened to this audiobook every single day, so I started this in March, but I didn't finish it until the 1st of April, so I did finish it in April actually, but I used most of March to read it, and that was An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. So as I said, I listened to this on audiobook, and as you will see throughout this wrap up, I listened to a lot of audiobooks in April. and I read a lot of arcs because I was behind on my arcs, so that was basically all my reading. But anyway, Enchantment of Weirwinds follows Isobel, who is a painter, a really good one, a professional one. She deals with fairies because there are fairies in this land, and she paints them and gets patronage and payment from them. One day she paints a fairy prince, and when she paints him, she paints real human sorrow in his eyes. This is not a good thing because it shows that he has a weakness, which is like really bad in this world. He takes her from her home to stand trial and witness for the crimes she has done against him, and takes her to the fairy world. This was a story that was really heavily focused on the romance in the story, I would believe. I would think that if you, for example, like A Court of Thorns and Roses, you would enjoy this a lot. And it has fairies in it, so there's like loads of fairy things all over. First of all, I didn't actually mind the romance. It was totally okay. I listened, as I said, to the audiobook, and the narrator was really good at making the fairy princess, what was his name, Rock, I think, voice. Like, he sounded really sensual when she spoke, so I was like, okay, I can roll with this. I also really enjoyed the world building here. I really like the fairies. I mean, I didn't like them because they were sort of bad, but I like the world building and like interpretation that Margaret had of the fairies and what world she had created. It's not a long book, it's like 300 something pages, and she still got a lot of like of the world in there, and I enjoy learning everything about it. I thought it was a really well crafted story around the fairies, so that was the parts I really enjoyed. The plot itself, like the whole I'm getting you to the court and you're gonna stand trial part, and like then they have to journey and stuff, it was like okay, but it was really just for them to conveniently fall in love, I guess. So that was just like totally okay parts, but overall I did really enjoy myself, and I gave the book 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I finished was In the Key of Ghani by Natasha Deen. This is a coming of age story following Nira, whose family is Guyanese, and she's dealing with shit at school, trying to fit in, and also wanting to be a musician when her parents wants her to be a doctor. This is an own story, and I enjoyed it a lot. I have a full review up on this, as you will tell throughout this video. I have a full review up of many of these books, so I won't spend that much time talking about those books because I already talked about them, but I will link it down below if you're interested in more of my thoughts. So I'm just moving on because this video, I can tell, is already gonna last for a long time because I talk a lot. Great! The next read was Papergirl by Melinda McCracken. This is historical middle grade fiction. It follows Cassie, who lives in Winnipeg in Canada. In 1919, there is a big strike there, which is really known, and that is to make the conditions for the workers better. It was really bad back in those days, so it just basically follows the strike, and in the strike there were 2 papers that were being printed, one for the strikers and one from the rich people, that just said that the strikers were bad, and Cassie is selling the strikers papers, and she's the only girl who does that, so she's the only paper girl, thereby the title. Again, I made a full review of this one as well on my channel, so I will link that down below, but it was an interesting historical fiction which reminded me of high school in a good way, because I liked learning about it in history class of strikes and the time for the workers and stuff. But it's not something I would recommend unless you're like particularly interested in the subject, because it was not like a book that really stood out or like I would go out of my way to read. If I didn't say it, because I don't think I did, In the Key of Ghani and Papergirl were both arcs that I got from NetGalley, and it is why that I read them and reviewed them. I then read Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. This one I listened to the audiobook for because I can't just buy new releases as I want now here in Japan. But I did have Audible credits, so thereby I could read it because I really wanted to. Wicked Saints is a series following villains, I believe, like that's what people are saying, so I am rolling with that. I was looking up the synopsis because I didn't remember any of the characters' names, but in the synopsis none of the characters' names is standing there, so great work, thank you so much. It follows a girl who can pray to the gods and sort of get her power when she does, and then it follows a prince who uses blood magic and a boy who also uses blood magic, and blood magic is looked upon as really, really bad from the girl's perspectives and beliefs. The girl is from one country that has been fighting the prince's country for a really long time. They have been at war for like 100 years or something. I don't even remember how long. I guess the book was supposed to be like really dark and sort of gritty because like they have these really, really different beliefs. They are sort of villains. The prince is seen, for example, as a villain from the girl's point of view because he's a general in the army. He has killed many people in her country, etc. Like, the country has been at war for a long time, okay? And things have been revealed throughout the story because the girl and the boy who meets, they decide to go and assassinate the king in the prince's country to stop the war. I guess it's supposed to be like intriguing and dark, and like in some parts of the story I was really into it. I was enjoying myself a lot and I thought it was really exciting, but some parts was just not that good for me, I guess, because the prince is supposed to be, I guess, in danger, but it was just revealed and made into such a weird way, and some parts of the writing was super odd. So I don't know, some parts worked really well for me, but some parts didn't work that well for me at all. So I feel like this is this kind of story that could be either really great in the next book or not. So like we have set up the story now, and there's loads of reveals in the end that I really enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to see the aftermath of that in the next book. But overall I was a bit disappointed. One of my friends, Justine, told me it was like super good, and then I went into it with really high expectations and I was sort of let down. So meh. I wouldn't say, as I said, it was super bad because there were parts of it I really enjoyed, but there were parts that was meh. So I give it like 3 out of 5 stars. I liked it, but I expected to like it much more than I did. But that's fine sometimes, and I will continue with the series, and I'm hoping I will enjoy the rest of it a lot. I then read The Fever King by Victoria Lee. This was another arc from NetGalley. I have reviewed this in a full-length review on my channel, which I again will link down below. This follows Noam, who survives a magical virus and gets powers. He's sent to the elite school for people with powers, where he decides to infiltrate to help his people because they are refugees and immigrants, and he wants to make it better for them in California, which is now a kingdom because the US sort of split because some people did not like the magic things that started happening. I guess there's a lot of things going on here in this one. That was like the really short version of it. I talk, as I said, more about it in my full review, but I guess I didn't enjoy this as much. It was sort of predictable and I was sort of bored, and the characters were bland, and I guessed everything that was gonna happen basically. It reminded me really of a typical YA dystopia, but I have a feeling maybe the next few books could be good, so we'll see. But yeah, again, more thoughts in the review that I posted. I then read The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. This one is the first book in the Magnus and Alec trilogy in the Shadowhunter Chronicles. I listened to the audiobook for this because, again, can't buy new releases, but I do have audiobook credits. And the audio narrator was so good, by the way, and it made everyone even more precious than they already are. Malik has like been one of my biggest ships since forever. I love them to death, and when I found out that it were gonna be a trilogy focused on the two of them, I was beyond happy, and I'm so excited to say that I absolutely love this. This is set in between City of Glass and City of Fallen Angels in the weeks that they go to Europe together. So we just follow their journey in Europe, and a lot of things happen, and it's funny and sweet and badass, and I absolutely adored it. It was everything I wanted and more. I am so excited for the next books in the series. I can't wait for them. I literally do not know how to say how much I adore this. I recommend it with all my heart. It was like the perfect story. It was everything, as I said, as I hoped it to be, and I give it 5 out of 5 stars because I loved it so much, and I am so happy that we got it. It was beautiful, and yeah, it was great. I then read the Unicorn Anthology, edited by Peter S. Beagle. This one I got also as an arc from NetGalley, and my review is not up at the time, but it will be up really soon, so there will be more thoughts there. Basically, this is an anthology full with short stories from lots of different authors, all surrounding somehow the unicorn. When I requested this, I thought it was going to be a nice sweet book with unicorns. It was not. It was really strange. Some of the stories were like fine. By some I mean like 2-3 of them that I sort of liked, and the rest were super weird. I don't want to talk too much about it now, but there was one story where they had a unicorn horn which was shaped as a dildo, and that's all I need to say to explain to you how fucking weird it was. And I am actually in shock how weird some of the stories were. And I don't know, I didn't really enjoy myself. It was mostly just weird, and I gave it like 2 stars. We then have Our Shah and the Song of Death by Roshani Chokshi. This one is an arc which I got from my friend, and I have already posted a full video review of this, as I apparently did with like every single book in this video, because I just read so many arcs. This is the second book in the Our Shah quartet. Well, it's named the Pandava quartet, but yeah. And they just follow Our Shah and her friends on a new journey to clear her name because they are being accused of having stolen the bow and arrow from the god of love. This is like a super fun adventure story, and it is also based upon Indian mythology, and I just loved it a lot and have a lot of fun with it. Again, check out my review for even more thoughts on this, but I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm really excited to read the rest of the series. The next book I read was The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This is their first book in the Mistborn trilogy, the first trilogy, and it is also a reread. I did listen to the audiobook for this one as well. I just audiobooked so much this month. Audiobooks are saving my life over here, because some days I really cannot get myself to read, and then I audiobook like for many hours instead, which I feel is very productive of me. Mistborn is basically my favorite book of all time, and I only read it once, so it was time for a reread. I loved it to pieces the first time, and I was just blown away by Brandon Sanderson's world and writing, and now that I know everything's gonna happen, I just appreciate it even more. So Mistborn, The Final Empire follows Vin, who is a Shah, and Shah are like basically enslaved and owned by someone called the Lord Ruler, who has been ruling the land they live in for the past 1000 years. The Shah are just regular people, by the way, they're just being fucked over. It's great, they've been fucked over for a long time. And Vin has been living, you know, in the slums, surviving day by day, joining thieving crews to stay alive. And then she finds out that she is a Mistborn. The magic system is in this world is based upon medals, and if you adjust different medals, you get different abilities. For example, if you drink pewter, you will get enchant strength. There are Mistborns who can control all, is it 8 or 10? It's 8 to 10 medals. I just suddenly got a really big brain fart. Medals, they can adjust all of them and control all of them, and then the rest of them can only control one medal, so you can either control one or all, and it's really weird, of course, to control all of them. Then you're thereby a Mistborn. If you can only control one, you're called a Misting, by the way. So Vin finds out that she's Mistborn, and she joins this crew to do the impossible and take down the Lord Ruler. The Lord Ruler is seen upon like a god almost by many people, so it seems impossible that they can be able to defeat him, but they are gonna try anyway to create a rebellion and make sure that the Shah not continue to being enslaved in this land. So that's just the base of the story. It is like sort of a high story, I guess, but it's a lot of elements in it. I love it so much. I still love it. I can't believe how cleverly outplanned it is. Like, you could read the first book alone and you don't need to read the rest of the series, but if you decide to, then I can just tell you the payoff is amazing. I know a lot of people do not enjoy book 2 because it's quite different from book 1, but it's slow paced, but I love it. The world as well is amazing, the writing is super good, but it's just the cleverness of the plot that really gets me, and that's the parts that I love the most. But also like the magic and like the world, because it's so believable and I love it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars for my favorite book. Surprise, surprise. The last book that I finished in April was I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver. This is an arc of the book and then it's being released on the 14th of May. This again I was sent by a friend in the States, Justine. Thank you, Justine. I will make a full video review of this really soon, where I will talk a lot about it, but I can talk about it a bit now, I guess. So this story follows Ben, and they come out to the parents as non-binary, and the parents do not take that well and they throw them out. So Ben has to call their sister, whom they have not been talking to for the last 10 years, to, well, help them. Ben thereby moves into their sister and changes school and everything, and they only had a few months left of high school, but okay. Ben also deals with anxiety and depression, and they also start going to a psychiatrist to deal with all the shit their parents made them go through. That is just the basic of the story, but it is in own voices in a non-binary aspect, and it was great. I mean, it was one of my most anticipated releases this year, and the fact that I even got an arc of it makes me really emotional that I got to read this story, and I was not disappointed. As I said, I would talk more about it in a review, but just know that this is a really good one. I have thoughts, I have many thoughts, and I don't want to like hurry them up. If this sounds interesting to you, then I just go and pick it up because it's so worth it. That's all I'm gonna say for now. So all in all, I read 10 books in April. I am quite happy about that. It is not as much as in February and January when I read like 30 books, but now I have school and I have Japan keeping me busy, and also like there are some days I really do not feel like reading. So yeah, my reading mood has been sort of shit since I got here, but I have managed to get myself through some books anyway, and I'm happy about that. I think this was it for this wrap up. It's probably lasted for forever. I already hate my life because I have to edit it, but it's fine. You will see me soon in a new video, and thank you so much for watching this one. Bye!